Change doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for your approval or it's waiting for your convenience. It just happens, right? One sunrise later, you're standing in a different season, sometimes literally, sometimes emotionally. People say, I don't know what happened. But the forensic truth is that it happened while you weren't paying attention, because everything is always changing. Every thought, every breath, every silence. And the moment you deny that, you deny the chain of choice and decision that created it. When you don't acknowledge change, you step out of the authorship of you, if you will, and into victimhood. And that's where people lose themselves, in the illusion that life moved without them. But it didn't. It moved through them. Let's get into it. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Iconic Freedom, The Formula. We are setting a standard for accountability, responsibility, and the ownership of your choices and everything that follows. Let each care for self and all will be cared for. So what is the formula? Well, that is the set of standards that you create for yourself, that you live by for yourself, not for anybody else, but for yourself. When you transgress those standards, then you have the accountability of having to manage and deal with whatever the outcome was, right? So the standard of responsibility, that ability to respond to the choices you make, and the accountability is everything that follows, right? Everything that follows from the choice and the outcomes from that choice. You make a decision, that's a choice. And in that decision and in that choice, you have to be able to respond to whatever happens as a result. And that's where your accountability lies, whether or not you're able to take action further or not. And I would say that if you're not able to take action, perhaps that's not the choice to make. So for today, we're going to start about the constant of change. Because this idea that stasis, I'm going to say, is a myth. Nothing in life stands still. Even your indecision is a movement. I've often said that no choice is a choice. It's a choice not to choose. And it still will change things. Things will still happen around you. You can say, I'm not going to make a choice to do this. Okay, but life is still going on around you. Even like the indecision that you make, that indecision does trigger the universe around you, because things will continue to flow the way they need to flow, right? One of the things that I thought was so strange when I was a kid, and I finally understood it, was that, your grandparent, in my case, dies, life still keeps going. Nobody cares. I mean, some people care, but the majority of people, they don't care. They don't know who my grandmother was, let alone care about that. And it's not like you can put everything on pause and life suddenly, will take a hold until it's ready to take it off pause and hit play again. That's not how it works. And it's a very strange thing as a very young kid, probably about 10 years old, that I kind of figured out. It was like, wow, nothing stops. It all keeps going. And that's very interesting to me. When you say, I don't know what happened, what you're really saying is, I stopped noticing my participation. Change did not sneak up on you. You just stopped tracing your influence. And you cannot separate yourself from the motion of your own life. The world responds to your choices, even the unconscious ones. And we've talked about the unconscious choices, how those unconscious choices, they can leave, a lot of debris behind you that other people are going to have to clean up. So, a lot of times we talk about, the blind spot, right? You hear people talk about having a blind spot, this blind spot of denial. And that really is not, it's about not recognizing change, is not recognizing choice. And that's a blind spot, right? Because if you're not recognizing that change is going on, no matter how small or subtle, then you're not recognizing your decision and the choices that you make from those decisions. And when you can't see the choice, you cannot claim the responsibility. And that's a way to avoid responsibility. Without responsibility, accountability never enters the equation, and you stay stuck in the cycle of circumstance. In essence, life is happening to me, not because of me. I'm playing a game, I'm scamming myself, saying, oh, I don't see any change. Really? Because I got news for you. Change is happening every millisecond of every day. It's just whether or not you decide to notice it and bring it into your awareness. This is the formula in real time. Choice, responsibility, accountability, outcome. Choice, responsibility, accountability, outcome. And I would add to the precursor to choice is the decision. The decision to make a choice. The decision to stand up. The decision to make coffee. The decision to drive your car. The decision to turn right instead of left. If you skip the first step in your awareness, if you just willy-nilly, you don't care, you're just going to do whatever you want and not think about the decision and the choice, you're going to default to life is happening to me. And then you're just going to victimize yourself all the time. And I tell you what, that's where denial breeds, right? That's where people lose the ability to self-correct. Because when you pretend that change didn't happen, then you also pretend that you had nothing to do with it. In other words, you're not even paying attention and you're not even owning your contribution, right? That's like perfect surgical precision, right? So here's something to kind of understand, that not recognizing choice is basically not taking ownership. Okay, so we get that, right? We understand that every decision brings every choice and everything that follows. Every decision brings every choice and everything that follows. Now, you can be a victim of circumstance, or you can be an author of your own life and your own transitions in life. See, that victimization, it is this language, of those who stop noticing, of the couple where she says, or he says, oh, they cheated on me. No, you're using victimizing language because you stopped paying attention to what the signs were. You stopped paying attention to what the reality was in front of you. Choice didn't vanish, but your perception did because you chose to ignore it. Accountability becomes impossible when you can't trace your own evolution. The moment that you stop observing your transitions, you hand over your authorship to someone or something else. I don't know what that is. And life doesn't wait for your permission. It just keeps writing the story. Look, here's a reality. Change isn't the problem. Your refusal to notice it is the problem. You can't build mastery in stillness because stillness doesn't exist. There's only movement. It's either conscious or unconscious. Recognizing change is both a spiritual and an intellectual act of responsibility. Now, when I say spiritual, I'm talking about the universe. I'm not talking about a deity or any of the rest of that. I'm talking about that which motivates you from within. It's how you confirm that life is responding to you. So people of awareness, they see the transition, not as loss, but as evidence of their evolution, right? Every outcome, whether you like it or not, is the echo, if you will, of a prior choice, right? If you yell into a canyon and it echoes out and it bounces back to you, right? So same thing. Every outcome, whether you like it or not, is an echo of you yelling into the canyon. And that echo is accountability, calling you to observe what you did, what you built. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening because of you. And change is the proof to you that it's happening. When you refuse to evolve, which is impossible, but let's say that you do, life will evolve around you and eventually without you, because life keeps moving forward. It is on a trajectory that you cannot stop. You can stop. You can become ignorant and sit in a chair and, lay in bed and, not do anything, not watch TV, not listen to the radio, all of these things. You can do all of that, but it will not stop life from happening. It's still going to happen. So the question isn't whether change is coming. The question is, are you paying attention to how your choices are shaping the change that's coming? And what decisions are you making? What choices are you making in the face of all of that? Okay, so let's make this a little more forensic, right? Ask yourself 3 questions. What has changed? Let's think of it this way. Let me rephrase that. What has changed around me that I've refused to acknowledge? What choice of mine set that change in motion? What responsibility and contribution have I delayed because I pretended nothing shifted? What didn't I do that I could have done? When you notice change, you will reclaim your own life. When you ignore it, then you are surrendering and you're becoming a victim to yourself, thinking that life is happening to you and not because of you. Life is not going to wait for your permission. Reality will not wait for your permission. It responds to your participation, but it's not waiting for permission. And if your participation isn't conscious, then what are you creating? Because I'll tell you, in that creation, you own everything that comes of it, whether you intended it or not. Okay, that was a quickie, but it was really pretty cool, I thought. When thoughts come to you, you write them down and, you just talk and speak to them. And I love that about this life. Okay, hit that like button if you would. Share it with your family and friends. You never know how it might support them in their endeavor. All the fun links are below. And if you're inclined, feel free to subscribe on Buzzsprout. Don't forget my book, The Christmas Cookie, Stories from the Counter. Still available, of course, on Amazon and Lulu.com. Those links are down below as well. I am on X and True Social and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and always remember, let each care for self and all will be cared for. Make it a great week.